Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Always Moving podcast. I'm your host, Lyndon Suvanto, and today, special guest, Haven Wong. This is episode 20. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm great. Had some nice Greek food. I've got my tropical shirt on. It was a good day.
Yeah, you're living the Florida life.
Yeah. Is it cold there right now?
No, it was beautiful today. It was like 14.
Oh, so like is snow
I know,
going
like
away?
two. Yeah, it's melting, so it's slushy now. But
Yeah.
I guess it was like 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago. So minus 40 to plus 14. I'll take it.
Oh, absolutely. Um, so Haven, maybe if you could give us a little introduction. We met through handball. So obviously you're a handball player, but you're also a teacher. Give us a little howdy hey to the folks.
Yeah. So my name's Haven. I've played handball for the last like 8 years since I started I guess 8 years of Alberta. So probably close to 9 years of actual playing from starting in high school and played kind of throughout my whole university experience of becoming a teacher. So I finally finished that in 2019 and now I'm in my first year teaching. So
Yeah.
that's kind of where I'm at.
So in a couple of my other podcasts with, say, Craig Fisher and stuff, an example, how is it balancing education and school with the handball schedule? Because we're both national team players. It's kind of hectic at times, well, pre-COVID. So how is that managing the two?
It's definitely difficult. I think like because I was already a student athlete and I'm sure pretty much everyone that plays handball comes from playing different sports. I think I was kind of used to playing sports and doing school like in high school and stuff at the same time. So, time management was kind of a skill that I picked up alongside doing that. But university is another level. So, when you get to that stage and you're with students and professors that you have no idea who they are and they don't know who you are, it's definitely a lot harder and they go at so much of a faster pace that, you miss one class, you kind of got to figure out how to catch up on your own. And sometimes that's difficult because they don't give you the materials and
Yeah.
stuff. So it's definitely a challenge, but it's not impossible.
Did you ever feel like you had to take a step back from sport at all, or you managed it pretty well?
I feel like I managed it pretty well. There was a few times where I'd have to miss like a practice or a couple practices to study for midterms or finals or whatever. But I also wasn't the only one. There was more than just me as a university athlete. So I think, or sorry, a university student. So I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
that's kind of helped. You have those people that are at the same age as you in the same kind of stage. So I think it's, like by the time December came around, we kind of knew, okay, handball was kind of taking a step back when we had that exam time and stuff. Yeah, but the real challenge I would say is probably just with the traveling because you just never know when you're going to have midterms or things like that. And if it happens when you're away, then you've got to figure out a way to catch up when you're back or transfer the weight, which kind of sucks because then
yeah,
sometimes you've got like an 80% final.
yeah. Yeah. So when you did the trips, were you bringing most of your schoolwork with you? Because you'd probably do most of it from your laptop and stuff. But were you bringing books and in between games and trainings and stuff, you were just studying up or trying to catch up? Is that how it kind of went?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think you kind of have to because like this is just like arbitrary, but they say for every 1 hour of class that you do, you should be studying for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
And that's just to keep up, not to like prepare for a test or anything. So, when you miss that hour and now you're looking at like, okay, I got to figure this all out on my own. I got to read the textbook and, like try to connect with classmates or whatever it is to try to get everything, all the notes and stuff. And I think maybe now it might actually be easier because more stuff is online.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything was kind of online when I was in school, but we still took a lot of notes and stuff in class. So yeah, but definitely taking all that stuff and trying to keep up as best I could.
Yeah. Yeah, because I remember some of the guys like Mark and Craig and stuff in between, they're slugging away at the work and I'm just kind of hanging out. It's like, oh, well, good for you guys. But so then from there, so you played, so now you said this is eighth year with Alberta and with the national team. How many years have you been doing that? Because yeah, it's like 4 or 5, 6-ish, something like that, for the senior.
Yeah, I think with the senior team, no, I think I started in 2018.
Okay.
That was kind of my first actual trip with the senior team. Like with the junior team, I think my first trip was like the first or second year that I started playing, because that's
Yeah.
kind of how it goes since the sport's so small here. But yeah, my first junior trip was Puerto Rico. I think Craig said that in his too.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was the IHF trophy.
How'd you do with your first tournament with the national team? Because like for me, my first experience, we were cadets, and we sent a team from Alberta to represent Canada. We played 3 weeks, and my first official game ever, we lost by 60 goals. So I'm assuming you did better than
Oh
that.
man. Yeah, I mean, it was still probably like it was a shit show, honestly,
Yeah, yeah,
because that's just how it kind of operates in Canada
yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
with the national teams. You go there, and I think there was like 5 or 6 of us from Alberta, and then we just kind of met all the girls from Quebec when we got there, and same with the coaches. We didn't know them,
Yeah, yeah.
so I think we had like 3 days or something of training before we played our first game. And honestly, the level of competition wasn't that high. Like we had Puerto Rico, Mexico, and the States. And the
Okay.
States we beat quite easily, I think. Mexico was definitely the best team, but we ended up tying them. And Puerto Rico, I wouldn't say they were as good as Mexico, but they did beat us.
Yeah,
So, but not by much, like maybe by like 10.
yeah. No, that's good, because I mean, we went and we're like, what the hell sport are we playing? We're just getting destroyed. They're scoring more goals, goal per minute. So that's good. So then, now that COVID's kind of had it all shut down, because we were practicing together through the summer, and then December rolls around, and it just shuts everything down. So how has that been for you? Like, as a consistent athlete for years, how has that been for you?
It's been really hard, honestly. Like, I mean, the first time everything shut down, like last, I guess like pretty much a year ago now.
Yeah,
Like it was, I don't really think I thought that it was going to be this long that we were kind of going through this. I thought, oh yeah, well we'll be back at it in 2 weeks, or like after spring break, schools will be back in. And like, oh my gosh, that was naive.
yeah,
But like from then to when we started in the summer, honestly, I didn't even think it was that bad, because it was nice out. I could go outside and do activity, and it sucked to not play handball, because that's the biggest break I think I've ever taken in handball since I started.
yeah,
But I think I had more optimism
yeah,
back then, and then now that stuff shut down again, it's just like I'm just tired of it. I'm so annoyed. I just want to play something competitive.
yeah, 100%. And especially for me, when I was still up in Canada, it was with the snow and the cold. Then they shut down gyms, and it's like, what the hell am I supposed to do? I can't afford to go skiing every weekend. like
Mhm.
so.
I
But
know it's definitely harder in the winter, and
yeah,
it's so dark too all the time.
yeah,
So
but it is what it is. We're making our best. But you're back in the gym, I saw. How's
yeah,
it
I had to. I was like waiting for the day that it opened.
every time the Dina Hinshaw updates come, you're just, let's see. But isn't it like, you have to do light workouts? Like,
Yeah, but like,
what
I
is
don't know. I
that?
kind of think that's dumb. Yeah, because how do you judge if it's a light workout? Like, I guess you're not going to be like sprinting on the treadmill,
Yeah,
but I haven't seen them like go up to anyone and say, "Hey, you're working out too hard." I mean, I think as long as you can wear a mask and you're
yeah,
able to like breathe through your mask, then I think it's fine.
yeah. Because for me, the biggest thing was, you. It's hard to enforce that, because you're gonna run 10K and I'm gonna run 4K, and I'm gonna die and you're gonna be fine. You can't tell you to run 4K because I can't run 10K. So I thought that
Yeah,
was
I know.
weird, but I don't know.
Yeah, it is silly. I don't know. But I mean, I'm just happy that it's open. I don't think I was excited for the gym to be open. I think I was just excited to be able to do something.
Yeah, no, exactly. So then, switching from handball and sport and fitness, you're in a not awkward, but you're in an interesting spot for me, looking outside in, because your athletic life has kind of been thrown upside down, but you're also a teacher, and teaching through this pandemic, what has that been like?
It's been hard. I mean, like it's my first year teaching. So I guess on one hand, it's like I didn't really have any expectations of what this would look like. So, you know, sometimes when the other older teachers are saying like, oh, this year's been the hardest year, I'm like, well, I don't know, because it's my first year. So I don't really have much to compare it to. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I'm like, I'm just exhausted. And I think about like what I used to do with like coaching and going to school or doing my student teaching and stuff. And I'm like, why am I so tired all the time? But it's just, there's so many more elements that you have to worry about now in schools with like, you know, different protocols and like
Yeah.
what's going on and feeling safe and all that stuff. So,
Because I remember they were letting students go back kind of in the fall for a bit there. How was that? How did you feel about that? Did you feel like it was the right time, or did you feel like it was too early?
no, I think it was good because seeing like what happened with a lot of the students last spring, a lot of them kind of just gave up after a few weeks of being online, and there was a lot of inconsistencies with different school boards and different schools even about like what their expectations were for the students to be online and stuff.
Yeah.
And also there's a lot of students that they don't have the privilege of having technology at home, so some of them couldn't even like actually participate. So, you know, having that much time off from actually being educated
Yeah.
is, yeah, I think like it's more important honestly to have those kids in the schools and actually learning than, I don't want to say than their safety, but I think it was safe enough for us to go back to that.
Yeah. So then right now, are students back in?
Yeah, now we went, so we were in September to November 30th, and then from December 1st to when we came back from Christmas break, like a week after that, like January, second week of January, we were
Yeah.
back in school. Yeah. So they kind of took like, it was like 4 weeks online or something.
Okay. So then when the students come into class, what's kind of the procedure for that? Do they have to one at a time go to their desk, or does everyone wear a mask, or are there like these guarded shields, or how does it work? What does the classroom look like right now?
Yeah, I think, well, every school has kind of their own protocols, but in general, everyone has to wear a mask at all times, including the teachers. The only time you don't have to wear a mask is if you can be like 6 feet apart.
Yeah.
So if I'm like standing at the whiteboard or something and the kids are far away from me, then I can take my mask off to talk to them. They have to like hand sanitize every time they go in and out of a room. The kids are really crammed because there's also budget cuts. So some of the classes have like 35 kids in them, and
Yeah.
the classrooms are not big at all. So they pretty much have to be masked up the whole time. And then at lunch, they're allowed to take their mask off to eat, but they like told us all of the desks have to be in like uniform rows facing forward so that nobody's like face to face, I guess.
Yeah.
I teach a special ed, so special ed math. So in my class, there's only 12 kids in my homeroom. So I actually can spread them out so that they can be 6 feet apart, but none of the other classes have that luxury.
Yeah.
So they can take their mask off, but pretty much everyone keeps it on. But yeah, that's like the main things. And then the other thing is we have like, it's not necessarily a cohort, I guess, but all the grades are kind of separated in the school. So you've got like one hallway of grade 9s, one of grade 8, and one of grade 7, so that they like don't mix with each other.
Yeah.
And even when they go outside, they've got like their designated area that they can go in. So because if we get one case, it wipes out anyone in close contact. So
Yeah,
then at least it's only one grade, not everyone.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So when you were maybe more when you were doing your classes online and stuff, did you learn any kind of tricks or tips that you would give to another teacher going through this? That maybe you're like, oh, this worked well, or no, this didn't work at all. Don't try that.
Yeah, online. I think the general consensus from the teachers was that it was better this time because they had to actually stick to their like in-school schedule. So the
Yeah.
kids were actually online like 6-7 hours a day. Definitely they had to meet every teacher in person, like to start the class at least, and then it was kind of teacher discretion if they wanted to let them go and work on their own or whatever. For me, honestly, I didn't find it too bad from my end because I'm younger and I know how to use technology and stuff, but some of the older teachers really struggled. And at the beginning of the year, they kind of told us like, you know, we don't know at any point we could be going online. So we have to like learn how to kind of incorporate everything online already, so that in the event that we did have to go, we were kind of prepared.
Yeah.
So I think, like, I mean, if there's another pandemic, I would give the advice to just like have your stuff like in electronic format, and like,
Yeah.
load up your Google Drive and have everything available. And honestly, just like looking to other teachers, like I'm a first year teacher. I don't really know much compared to like these other teachers that have been teaching for 30 years.
Yeah.
But I had so many of them coming to me asking me like, oh, how do I share this Google Doc, or like just stuff to me that's so basic that I've learned for, high school and university. And just reach out to other teachers, because struggling through it on your own is not the way to
go. No, that's good. That's helpful, I think. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to move back. I'm going to move away from the teaching, because for me that was something I wanted to ask you about. But I'm like, you know what? We'll get her on the pod. She can tell it to everybody. You can just tell it to me, and then they can listen. I don't care. So recently it was International Women's Day, and I was curious about, because every time, for me, most of what you do on social media is empowering women in sport. And how has that been for you growing up as a female athlete who plays at a high level and stuff? Did you ever feel, this is wrong for me, I shouldn't be playing sport or anything? Or did you have were you just like, I'm playing sport no matter what, I don't care? Because I feel like there's a lot of pressure. Like, I know friends that quit sport because they felt it wasn't the pretty thing to do or whatnot. So what was it like growing up as a high level female athlete?
I think for me, like, because my parents were both athletic and they both played sports throughout their growing up, I've always been someone that played sport. They put me into gymnastics and soccer and like whatever they could at a really young age. So I've kind of just always been used to it. And I think like I've always just enjoyed it and found it something that I wanted to do. So for me, I never felt like I needed to stop because it wasn't like the feminine thing to do or whatever. But I mean, I know I've had friends that have done that, or, maybe they're not the high level athlete and they can't make the senior team, even in junior high. And they're like, well, since I can't make the senior team, I'm just going to quit.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of a fault of the system, because there's not those opportunities for everyone to be able to play.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that, but I mean, that's like it's a loaded question.
There's a lot to it, I think. But like, what would you say would be maybe a solution to it, like a fault in the system? What do you think could be done? Like more teams or more encouragement, you think, from staff and coaches? Or
yeah, I think like right now I'm teaching math, but like ultimately my degree, like my major is in phys ed, and I would love to be able to teach phys ed one day. And like I'm very passionate about like getting girls and getting women to play sports and continue playing sports. And there are other obstacles that females do have to deal with when it comes to sports.
Yeah.
And some of those are something that's not going to change. I mean, like when you're an adult woman, if you want to start a family, well, now you have to take a break, right? So that's something that can't really change, but there are lots of things that can change. And I think like to start as a phys ed teacher, like I would want to show these girls that there's equal opportunity. Like when I was teaching phys ed in my practicums, you can see the girls don't enjoy the class as much. And the difference between having a co-ed phys ed class or having a like separate boys and girls phys ed class, you can see like when you've got girls there's no boys in sight and it doesn't matter what they look like, and no one's judging them and they're just with their friends, they participate like tenfold. So I think it starts there, and just showing them how playing these sports doesn't make you less feminine, or if that's like what you're concerned about, I guess, but that they can have those opportunities. So
yeah, because I went back to my old high school and I was helping with the gym class, and we were doing handball and stuff, and it's mixed gender, and the girls that wanted to play, they played and they had fun. And I felt good because I was able to get some girls that were hesitant and, oh, the boys are there or whatnot. They got into it and they loved it. And I just think it's great. So I think you're a strong role model for players. You're a great player. You light me up almost all the time. I think you're a great role model, and I hope you stick with it. Like, what do you think someone in my position could do, or like a
Um,
because we're equal level player on the national team, but from the male side, I mean, I can't control regulation or anything like that. But what could you think men in my position do to help kind of?
um, well, first of all, thank you. Second of all, yeah, I think like I don't know what I was thinking about this before when you asked the other question, but I mean, like as a female athlete, I always felt like things were unfair, right? Like I was like, well, why does the senior boys basketball team get to go to all these tournaments out of province and they have all these people coming to watch them at the um, high school tournaments, and you know when there's the girls game, there's like our parents are in the crowd,
Yeah,
you know, and like why are there so many unfair opportunities even at that age? And I think that's like a place that we can start here is not like I mean on the global scale, you know, supporting female athletes and supporting their accomplishments. And you know like we're seeing female athlete, or I guess they're not really athletes, but they probably were one day, referees and stuff in the
yeah, yeah,
NFL. And you know like there's a girl playing in the NCAA and things like that. Just supporting that and sharing that and showing that it's a big accomplishment and that it should become normalized. I think that's something that we can do. And the other thing is just like supporting female sports here right now, right? Like I mean, going early and watching that female final before
yeah,
the guys final, you know, stuff like that. I think is important because as it starts and people realize, okay, they're doing the same thing. These are still really good games. I think it'll just end up being more of like a normal thing.
yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, I get that. And as a handball player and coming up in Alberta, it was through all my years, the women's team were better than my team all the time. But I saw like a disparity in maybe the attention the teams would get and stuff. And that's good. That's good advice. I posted a question on, or if anyone had a question for you on my Instagram today. And this one comes from
Mm-hmm.
Alyssa. It says, "How do you motivate younger women to keep playing a sport? How would you do that? Um, say if you were teaching in physical education and stuff, would because I think you're a good example. Would you use yourself as an example and say these are the opportunities that come and it's growing? Because like, how would you kind of get a girl that maybe was on the fence and be like, oh, I don't know if I should do this, but they have the talent to do it? What would you kind of do to help this young woman out?"
That's a good question. I mean, I think I would, yeah, I don't know if I would like specifically use myself as an example, but I think I would just use like other athletes as an example. Like to me, I have so many role models that are professional athletes, right? And I look at them and I'm like, oh man, that would be so amazing, like to do that and to have that representation and stuff. And I think for like a young female athlete to like show them on their scale, like what's coming up for them, what can they do, you know, I'm just thinking on the junior high scale because that's what I'm teaching right now. But I
Yeah.
mean, you know, what can you do in high school and what are the opportunities that you haven't? That might not even be in a school setting, like that might be in a club setting, or it doesn't necessarily even have to be super competitive because,
Yeah.
you know, I think with competition, usually the athletes that are stronger and that are able to make those high levels, you don't have to convince them because
Yeah.
they kind of already have a taste of what they can do. But to me, like those girls that don't want to participate in phys ed and, you know, maybe they like moving their body and being active, but they don't want, like, they're scared because of other things. To me, it's how can we find something for you that you're going to enjoy and not be worried about? Like, if you're going to go and like become a yogi, cool.
Yeah.
Like you're doing something active. That's what's important to me. So I think just, yeah, setting that example for them and kind of helping them find what they're passionate about and what they would like to continue doing, especially if it's an activity that's possible to continue for a long time, like throughout your whole life. To me,
Yeah.
that's important. So yeah.
Did you who so I have a kind of a rapid fire question or questions later, but one of them I'm going to steal and I'm interested kind of who were your role models growing up? Where is it ever a time where is you felt difficult or something, and they're like, no, stick with it. You're doing great. There's so many opportunities. Was there anyone that specifically helped you along your path?
I think like, my favorite subject was always phys ed, and I think I've always kind of had like a special relationship with my phys ed teachers because that's always the number one thing that I enjoyed, and usually they were also coaches and stuff. So, I remember like I had a basketball coach in high school that I really liked, and I just she just was awesome. Like her presence just matched like what I like in a coach, and so I think she really motivated me to kind of do whatever I could. And it's not always a female role model either. I
Yeah,
think just like anyone, because for me, like I was never that kid that didn't want to participate in phys ed or like didn't like playing with the boys or whatever. Like I
yeah,
just wanted competition. So like anyone that kind of gave me an opportunity to do something kind of pushed me along the way.
yeah,
But yeah, like I think I also, when I grew up, like I played soccer. That was my main sport, and like I grew up watching the U.S. women's national team like all the time. I mean, as much as I love Canada and like Christine St. Clair was always like my favorite player,
yeah,
the U.S. women's national team, like watching their growth from the time that I kind of jumped on that bandwagon till now, I'm just like, it's crazy like what they're doing right now with like the fight for equal pay and
yeah,
like how successful they are and like just determined. It's just watching them, I'm like, oh, I want to do that.
yeah. That's something I hope that I think it's trending in the right direction. I'm hoping I'm optimistic. I think it's trending in the right direction, and I think the more kind of say media attention and where it shows highlights of the women's sport, I think it's coming in for young males also to be like, wow, this is incredible. Serena won as a pregnant woman, or all these amazing accomplishments. So I'm optimistic, and
Yeah.
I think people like you are helping the cause. Our handball families, it's pretty tight globally. Doesn't matter what team you play for. So I think it's something we can all work together with. And I think you and your teammates are amazing. Your women team clearly better than us. You went to Pan Am Games. You guys are you're an amazing team. So um, I appreciate what you're doing. So keep from me to you, friend to friend, awesome. And I hope
Thank you.
I got like I don't have the biggest audience, but I'm hoping maybe one day someone sees this and then they look up to you because I think you're a good role model. So appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Well, I mean, like even from my perspective though, like you asking what you can do as a male athlete, like that's huge too. So I mean, and like you said with the podcast, right? It's not the biggest audience yet, right? I mean, there's always potential for more.
Keyword
Um,
yet. Keyword yet. It's coming.
but like but I mean, even those few ears, it might spark somebody else to share something or
Yeah.
support something or whatever. So yeah.
Awesome. I don't want to keep you too much longer. As I mentioned earlier, I've got rapid fire. So
Okay.
you got to punch these out quick. They're going to come. Some of them are going to be the quality of the question is going to vary here. Okay.
Okay. I'm nervous.
Yeah. So my audience, they love a good rapid fire with the guest. This is the Haven Wong Rapid Fire episode 20. Okay. Athletic hero.
Oh man, I can't do rapid fire. Let's go with Serena Williams.
Pre-game pump up song.
Everybody by the Backstreet Boys.
Nice. Canadian nationals or US nationals?
I think it depends on the year, but I think I've only gone to US nationals once, so I think I have to go with Canadian nationals.
Nice. Me too. I've never been to US nationals, but Canadian nationals holds a special part. Pancakes or waffles?
Waffles.
What meal are you the best at making? What's your best meal if you were trying to impress somebody?
Well, I'll start off by saying I'm not really that great of a cook, but it would have to be something very basic, like probably like spaghetti or something like that.
Nice. Favorite location you've played handball in? Like
I
country?
think Sweden probably. Yeah, I think Sweden, not because it's like my favorite country ever. Like, I mean, Peru is definitely the best experience at Pan Am Games, But seeing at Portilla Cup the sheer amount of people that actually played handball for the first time, and like just having that realization hit me that other people in this world play that sport and it's really popular, was just, can't change that. So
Yeah, I agree. So as we all know, I'm old as hell. So I went to Parksilla Cup before you probably even knew what handball was. But we played and it just rained the entire time. And it was cool to play handball in the rain. You couldn't see anything. It was amazing. Next up, what's the hardest thing to get students to focus on when you're trying to teach them? Is there a subject or a certain anything where it's just like these kids just don't want to listen to this? Or
I think honestly, just getting them to pay attention in general is a hard feat. But then once you have their attention, like, I mean, I teach math, and I think you either hate math or you love math. So, you know, those kids that hate math have like a deep hatred. So I think getting them to actually enjoy it, that's hard, but
that's
it's
the one.
worth it.
Okay. Um, Least favorite exercise or workout?
Mm, I hate swimming.
But it's so good
I
for
just
you.
hate swimming.
Well,
Yeah, yeah, no, not for me.
that might tie into this next one. Vacation, mountain or beach? You can't say now that you said
I
you
think
hate
I
swimming.
used to be a yeah, I used to be like, I like the sunshine, but I think after COVID hit, mountains was kind of the only place we could go. So now I'm a mountain girl.
Greatest female athlete of all time?
Oh, that's Serena for sure.
Greatest or what handball player do you look up to the most?
Oh, either Camilla Harrim or Amarim.
Nice.
And meeting Amarim and playing against her at Peru, at Pan Am Games, I just have like a whole newfound respect for her. So yeah.
It's cool playing against someone that's just that world class. It's something special. And my last
And like there's
question. Oh, sorry.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, continue.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, she's so nice. So because she's so nice, I just love her so much more.
That's the thing too. I think with handball players compared to other sports, they're so it doesn't matter how good they are, they're so approachable. Everyone is.
For sure.
Okay. This is the big one. Rapid fire here. This could cause a rift. Who's the more talented handball player, you or Ireland?
Honestly, I don't think that we can compare because we're complete opposites when it comes to handball. Like, she's full power, full throttle all the time, one speed, like either stopped or 150 miles an hour. And I feel like I'm more like finesse, give me the ball and I can shoot it. She's like gonna throw it as hard as she can at your head, and like we'll probably both score, but it's completely two different ways.
Yeah, I've experienced both. Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Haven. I won't keep you any further. You're busy, you got stuff going on. And I appreciate you being on. It was great talking to you.
Yeah, it was awesome. Thanks for inviting me. I mean, it was super fun. I haven't talked to a lot of people lately because of COVID, so it's a nice social event.
Yeah, that's true. It's sunny down here in Florida. I don't want to I don't want to tell you how hot it was today because 14 was pretty good in Edmonton. So
Yeah.
I got some sun. Anywho, Haven, thank you very much. Everyone listening, this has been the Always Moving podcast with your host, Lyndon Suvanto. Haven, thank you very much. And everybody, let's keep this thing rolling. Keep this thing moving. I screwed it up again.